There's only so few players that did it as long as he did.
Growing up, he was definitely one of my idols.
Daniel Nestor giving a masterclass performance.
Daniel just has really no weaknesses.
He's a lefty, very gifted serve.
That's why he's so dangerous.
We've had many sleepless nights playing Danny.
He's the first Mr. Tennis in Canada.
What a return by Nestor. Brilliant.
I think he'll go down as one of the best doubles players of all time.
He is Canada's most decorated tennis player, and he's won so many trophies, he doesn't have room to display them all. His name belongs on a short list of the most successful athletes in any sport in this country's history. He has enjoyed a career without parallel. Daniel Nestor's story begins in Belgrade, the capital of what was then Yugoslavia. When he was almost 4, he immigrated to Canada with his parents and older brother, settling in Toronto.
I only spoke Serbian when I came, which was a little bit embarrassing. I remember going to school and I couldn't speak English, and I purposely forgot all my Serbian, which I regret now. But yeah, so I became a true Canadian after that.
I would take them to the park, and we saw some people hitting the ball, so that gave us an idea. So we bought rackets. We bought him a very expensive one, $2 racket in Loveless.
At first, I was relegated to the wall because I wasn't good enough. My brother and dad wouldn't allow me to play with them.
He started hitting the wall, and I guess that helped him improve his game tremendously.
Nestor's talent was obvious early on. He enrolled in a special high school program for gifted athletes, but wasn't sure what path he'd follow from there. By January 1992, at age 19, Nestor had reached number 238 in the world singles rankings. For the first time, he was selected to represent his country in the Davis Cup. The World Group tie took place in Vancouver's PNE Agridome. Nestor's opponent, the number 1 player in the world, Stefan Edberg. It turned into one of the great remember where you were moments in the history of Canadian sport, and turned a virtual unknown into a household name.
My goal was not to make a fool of myself at first.
Probably I've heard about him at the time. I've probably never seen him play.
I think he won the first set with 1 break, but then I kind of turned around in the second set.
Still, shouldn't be a problem, to play a new young kid on the block, and first match of the Davis Cup there, everything looked good.
And then the third set, I remember struggling a little bit with my serve, and back then there was a 20-minute break in between third and fourth sets, so I was practicing my serve. I stayed on the court and I was hitting serves, which is weird.
Suddenly, this guy started playing really well, and I probably started getting a bit frustrated, but you see, best of 5 sets, it should be an easy way to get out.
Came back out in the fourth set and played really well, and it carried over to the fifth. And if you look at my reaction in the match, you can tell that I was pretty shy and uncomfortable in the situation. Realistically, didn't belong on the same court as him.
It was a big surprise at the time, but I can't really remember what he said. I'm sure he does remember.
I apologized to him at the net, so it was pretty awkward.
By 1999, he reached number 58 in the world singles rankings. He was also playing doubles and found success there. But doing both was taking a toll on his body. He would have to make a career choice that would determine his destiny. Stick with singles and take his chances, or become a doubles specialist and try to master that aspect of the game. Daniel Nestor made his decision, found his calling, and announced it with a bang.
Game, set, championship Canada, gold medal, Nestor and Lareau.
We knew we had accomplished something, and something that will be there forever. I never have any reaction on the court, but I grabbed onto Daniel, a smile on her face, and it's huge. Just talking about it, I still have chills, and it was a big moment.
An early triumph in what turned out to be a long and glorious trip.
Who will go down without question as one of the greatest doubles players of all time in the history of the sport.
Daniel was a nightmare to play. He's got this slinky lefty serve that comes out of an unorthodox motion. There's no real game plan when you're playing Danny. We've had matches where we thought we had the match won, had numerous match points, and he comes up with his magic.
And he seems to know what you're gonna do before you know what you're gonna do. It's really hard to outsmart him on the doubles court.
I think we won 40 titles. He's very talented from the back of the court. He probably had the best forehand second shot that I've ever played with, but also probably that I've ever played against.
Daniel Nestor chose to partner with Zimonjic, and they've won consecutive Wimbledons.
It was a great honor to play with somebody like him. Could rely on him, and you know what was coming, and you know what you can expect from him.
I'm so thankful to him. So many things he gave to me. I mean, his time, his confidence.
You know, he's played with a lot of different players and had success with all of them. He's been right at the top for, you know, the best part of 25 years, which is an extremely difficult thing to do.
I learned a lot from him. He knows what he's doing out there, which is the number one thing you look for in a partner. I haven't enjoyed playing with anybody more than with Daniel.
The greatest doubles victory ever in Davis Cup history by Canada. Daniel Nestor saves his best right at the end of his career.
On court, he is focused, implacable, stone-faced, not prone to great bursts of emotion, serious and steady as she goes. Maybe even a little bit boring. But off the court, away from the cameras, those who know Daniel Nestor best will tell you that we've got it all wrong.
He's actually a completely different personality in the locker room than he is on the court.
We're always joking around, so when you ask me about Danny Nestor, I'm gonna try to be nice to him and just say like he's a good guy. I'm happy that he's been around, but we always go after each other.
He'd be in the top 2 or 3 loudest players in the locker room. He's always shouting at people, making jokes. He's always been good fun to be around.
He's definitely like a 13-year-old trapped into a, 47-year-old body.
He always gets the grunt of the senior jokes, being the oldest guy around.
46 maybe, sorry Danny.
He definitely isn't that way when it comes to maturity.
We play a lot of fantasy basketball against each other, and he talks himself up like you cannot believe. You know, I come from Scotland to never sort of follow basketball at all, and I'd beaten him multiple times.
He was our best hope, our man in the Grand Slams, the Davis Cup, and the Olympic Games, traveling the world wearing the red maple leaf for so long that it became easy to take him for granted. Now, as a golden age of Canadian tennis may be upon us, you see the trickle-down effect.
Over the last 10 to 15 years, our sport has grown dramatically. Up to 7 million Canadians play tennis now. He's a big part of that growth.
He's one of the reasons why so many kids are picking up tennis rackets all across the nation. And to be honest, growing up, I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be considered a champion like him.
It's not going to be only the 20-plus years he put into his professional career, but it's also going to be the way he continues to grow tennis after his playing days and into many other various projects.
It's been great for the guys to see him as a role model, to see, one of the winningest guys in ATP Tour history, the way he carries himself and handles himself. He goes out, trains, wins his matches, and then, goes back to being a father or being a mentor.
There aren't a lot of true game changers in the world, but Daniel Nestor's one of them. And even in retirement, that legacy will play on. It won't be the same without him out there on the tour. But there are a couple of people who are awfully happy that the old man is going to be spending a lot more time at home.
I like to go to movies with my dad. I like to play basketball with my dad. I like to play tennis with my dad a lot. Sing.
Yes!
I'm really looking forward just to having him being at home and, maybe getting like a regular job and, you know, just having him around all the time without having to pack him up and send him off.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm 10 proud of him.
Hey Daniel, firstly I want to thank you for teaching me so many lessons, even when I wasn't sure you were teaching them to me.
And just want to thank you for all the good times that we had.
You've always been really, really good to me as a friend since I was a young guy coming through.
You look up to, you're an inspiration to a whole generation of doubles players.
Thanks for being my idol growing up.
I respect you from really all my heart.
Thanks for the good times, the bad times, and all the memories. I'd do it all over again.
I admire you and I wish you all the best for your retirement.
You deserve it more than anybody. You've had an incredible career. Wishing you the best, man. Congratulations.